I poured my life savings, every last dime from my 401k, into my granddaughter's dream. I built her a sanctuary. Now, I'm standing in that same cafe, watching her new husband and his family treat her like a servant while they bleed her dry. They think I'm just a sweet old lady. They're about to find out how wrong they are. This is just the beginning of a story you won't believe. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because you are not going to want to miss a single part of how I took back what was mine. The bell above the door chimed. A cheery little sound I'd picked out myself, but the feeling in my gut was anything but. When I stepped into the Page and Pastry, I had to stop myself from wincing. The cafe, my cafe, the one I'd bought for Chloe with every penny I had, was a disaster. The rich smell of espresso and vanilla I remembered was gone, replaced by the sour tang of stale coffee and, was that BO? The cozy armchairs in the reading nook were stained, the handcrafted wooden tables were sticky, and a trash can near the counter was overflowing. This place was supposed to be her fresh start. My granddaughter, Chloe, she's all I have. Her mother, my daughter, went down a bad road and never came back. I raised Chloe from the time she was 5, working double shifts as a diner waitress for 30 years to make sure she had everything I never did. When my husband, Frank, passed, his life insurance policy wasn't much, but I tucked it away, letting it grow, earmarking it for something important. That something was Chloe. At 24, she had this dream, a small independent bookstore cafe, a place where people could read, talk, and feel safe. She was smart, a hard worker, and she had a real talent for baking. I saw my chance to give her not just a job, but a future, a legacy. So I cashed out. My 401k, the insurance money, all of it, over $150,000. We found the perfect spot in a good neighborhood, fixed it up, and for the first 6 months it was beautiful. It was thriving. I'd come by, and she'd be beaming, her cheeks dusted with flour, the cash register singing. Then, 3 months ago, she met him, Landon. He breezed in with a 1,000-watt smile, abs that you could see through his shirt, and the kind of smooth talk that makes a sensible girl stupid. He was a freelance entrepreneur, which, as far as I can tell, is just millennial slang for unemployed mooch. They were married in Vegas 6 weeks later. A whirlwind, she called it. A Category 5 hurricane, I called it. And with the hurricane came the debris. His family, can I help you? A voice snapped, pulling me from my thoughts. A woman with brittle blonde hair, a good 2 inches of dark roots, and a leopard print top stretched tight across her chest was glaring at me from behind my cash register. She looked me up and down like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. This I recognized from the one awful rehearsal dinner I'd been forced to attend, was Landon's mother. "Brenda, I'm just looking for Chloe," I said, keeping my voice steady. "She's busy," Brenda snapped. "In the back, where she should be." "You gonna order something or just clog up the line?" I looked behind me. There was no line. Just a college kid in the corner, staring angrily at a laptop and an empty coffee mug. "I'll have a black coffee," I said. Brenda let out an exaggerated sigh and turned around. She grabbed a dirty mug, slopped some coffee into it from a near-empty pot, and slammed it on the counter. "That's $4.50. $4.50? I balked. "It used to be $2.25. It's gourmet," she said, popping her gum. "Landon, my son, the manager, is rebranding. We're an upscale establishment now." I looked at the overflowing trash can. "Clearly." I paid, my hand shaking just a little with rage, and took a sip. It was lukewarm and tasted like asphalt. I sat down at one of the sticky tables, my back to the wall, and I watched. For the next 20 minutes, I saw a horror show. Brenda scrolled through Facebook on her phone, ignoring the front door. A guy I didn't recognize, built like Landon, but with a vacant stare, his brother probably, was lounging at a table meant for customers, his muddy boots propped up on the chair opposite. He was watching videos on his phone with the volume all the way up. When a customer did come in, Brenda was short with them, rude even. The brother, I later learned his name was Jet, was now supposedly the barista, but he clearly didn't know how to work the espresso machine. I watched him curse at it, bang it with his fist, and then hand a young woman a cup that was half full of watery foam. She looked at it, looked at him, and just walked out without paying, and my sweet, brilliant Chloe, she was nowhere to be seen. "Brenda," Landon's voice boomed as he came striding in from the street. not the back room. He was dressed in a brand new suit that looked out of place, holding a clipboard like a prop. He didn't see me. "How's the cash flow, Mama? We breaking records?" "We would be if Jet here wasn't scaring everyone off," she cackled. "Hey, this machine is a piece of crap," Jet yelled from the counter. "It's not my fault." "It's not the machine, you idiot. You just gotta clean the nozzle," Landon said, rolling his eyes. He walked over to the register, hit a few buttons, and pulled the cash drawer open. He took out a thick wad of bills, had to be at least $200, and folded it neatly into his suit pocket. "What's that for?" Brenda asked, her eyes narrowing. "Client meeting," Landon said smoothly. "Gotta wine and dine, Mama. You know the drill. Schmooze 'em to close 'em. I'm building an empire here." I felt the blood drain from my face. He was pocketing cash. Chloe's cash. My cash. Just then, the kitchen door swung open, and my granddaughter stumbled out. I almost didn't recognize her. The vibrant girl I knew was gone. In her place was a ghost. Her hair, which she always kept in a cute, bouncy ponytail, was matted to her head with sweat and grease, stuffed under a hairnet. Her face was pale, with dark, bruised-looking circles under her eyes. Her page and pastry apron, usually spotless, was covered in flour, grease, and was that a tomato sauce stain? She was carrying a bus tub overflowing with dirty dishes, and her thin arms were shaking from the weight. "Jet, I need you to run these," she said, her voice small and tired. "And I'm all out of pastry flour. Someone has to go to the supply store." "I'm busy," Jet grunted, not looking up from his phone. "And Landon," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "Did you take the cash from the deposit bag? The bakery supplier is calling, and the last check—" "Babe," Landon interrupted, his smile wide and fake as he finally saw her. He walked over and kissed her, a performative, gross gesture. "Don't sweat the small stuff. I'm handling the big picture. You just focus on those amazing muffins. People love 'em." He patted her on the head like a dog. She just nodded, her eyes on the floor, and turned to head back to the kitchen. She hadn't even seen me. "Chloe," I said. My voice was quiet, but it cut through the stale air like a knife. Everything stopped. Jet looked up. Brenda's gum chewing froze mid-pop. Landon's plastic smile twitched. Chloe turned around, slow, like a sleepwalker. Her eyes scanned the room, and when they landed on me, I saw two things at once. A drowning woman's desperate plea for rescue, and the absolute, gut-wrenching terror of someone who didn't want her abuser to see her get thrown a life raft. "Grandma," she whispered, her voice cracking. What are you doing here?" "Grandma?" Chloe whispered, her voice cracking. Her eyes darted from me to Landon, then to Brenda and back again. She looked like a cornered animal. Before I could say another word, Landon sprang into action. His panic from a second ago vanished, replaced by a smile so wide and bright it could power a small town. He dropped his prop clipboard onto a sticky table and strode over, arms wide. "Grandma, we finally meet," he boomed, pulling me into an unwanted, suffocating hug that smelled like cheap cologne and hair gel. "Chloe, baby, why didn't you tell me your grandma was coming? We would have rolled out the red carpet." I pushed him off, smoothing my shirt. "I doubt that. You didn't even know who I was." Brenda, still behind the counter, snorted. Oh, he knew. He just didn't think the money tree would actually show up in person. "Mom," Landon hissed, his smile twitching. He shot her a look that would kill, then turned his charm back on me, though the wattage was lower. "My mother, Brenda, she's direct. And this is my brother, Jet. We're all here helping Chloe live the dream." "This looks more like a nightmare," I said, my gaze sweeping over the filth. I looked at the thick wad of cash still sticking out of Landon's suit pocket. "That's a nice suit. Must be for that client meeting you're schmoozing." Landon's smile didn't falter. He was a professional. "You gotta spend money to make money, Grandma." "My name is Helen." I cut him off. "Helen. Right. You're old school, I get it," he said, patting my arm condescendingly. "You see this place as a little hobby. I see potential. I see a brand. We're talking franchising, Helen. We're going nationwide. Franchising? I looked at Jet, who was now trying to scrape something off the bottom of his boot with one of Chloe's pastry knives. You can't even get this one location to pass a health inspection. Hey, that's her job, Jet grunted, hooking a thumb at Chloe, who flinched as if he'd hit her. That did it. The polite facade I was trying to hold cracked wide open. Her job? It's her name on the lease, son. It's her cafe. What exactly is your job, besides testing the structural integrity of that chair? Grandma, please! Chloe rushed forward, wringing her dirty apron in her hands. Don't. We're just in the middle of a rush. A rush? I looked around the empty, silent room. The only sound was Brenda popping her gum. Honey, the only thing rushing here is your business, right down the drain. I talked to Sarah. Chloe's face went white. Sarah was one of the original baristas, a sweet girl from the local college. You did? I did. She told me she was let go. Fired. Because the new management, I leveled a look at Brenda, said she wasn't a team player. She had a bad attitude, Brenda chimed in, now brazenly opening the cash register to count the bills inside. Always whining. Where's my paycheck? Why is Jet eating all the muffins before we open? Blah, blah, blah. She wanted to get paid, Brenda. It's called a job, I said. Something you and your boys wouldn't know much about. Now you listen here, you old broad, Brenda started, slamming the drawer shut. Mom. Landon barked, and she actually fell silent, looking surprised. He stepped in, the ringleader pulling his circus animals in line. He put his arm around Chloe's shoulders, and I watched her go rigid, a small, involuntary wince crossing her face. Look, Helen, he said, his voice dripping with fake patience. I can see you're concerned, but the game has changed. This isn't your 1970s diner. This is high-stakes portfolio management. This cafe is an asset, and I'm leveraging it. Leveraging it? You're looting it. Grandma, stop! Chloe finally cried out, pulling away from Landon. Her voice was thin and reedy. You don't understand. Landon has a new business model. We're cutting overhead. We're streamlining. Streamlining? I repeated. Is that what you call this? Is this why you look like you haven't slept in a week? Chloe, I need to talk to you. Alone. Now. She's busy, Brenda said, crossing her arms. I'll be fine, Grandma, Chloe whispered, her eyes pleading with me to drop it. I have to prep the scones for tomorrow. We're almost out. She turned, a puppet with her strings cut, and shuffled back toward the kitchen. I wasn't having it. I made to follow her, but Landon stepped directly in my path, blocking me. He was a good foot taller than me, but I've stared down meaner men over cold meatloaf and a bad tip. Whoa, Helen, he said, holding up his hands. Kitchen is employees only, big insurance policy. You understand. It's a liability. I'm not an employee. I'm the lead investor, I said, my voice dropping. And you are a liability. Get out of my way. His smile vanished. The charm was gone, and for a second I saw the cold, empty void behind his eyes. I don't think I will. We're family here. You can say whatever you want right in front of us. Fine. I looked past him, raising my voice. Chloe, where's your apartment key? What? She called out, her voice muffled by the kitchen door. The key to your apartment. The one upstairs. I need to use the restroom. I saw a flash of pure panic in Landon's eyes. He recovered quickly. Oh, the plumbing's shot. Totally busted. We're waiting on a plumber. Guy's been dodging my calls. You know how it is. There's a gas station down the block you can use. I'll take my chances, I said, and shoved past him before he could react. I went to the back of the cafe, to the door marked private that led to the stairs. It was locked. Of course it was. Chloe, I yelled. Open this door. I heard frantic footsteps, and Chloe burst from the kitchen, Landon right on her heels. Grandma, please, she begged, her face slick with sweat and tears. Don't. It's just a mess up there. I haven't had time to clean. I've seen messes, honey. Open the door. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely get the key in the lock. It clicked open. I pushed the door and headed up the narrow stairs, my heart pounding a sick, heavy rhythm against my ribs. That apartment was her pride and joy. It was small, just a one-bedroom, but I'd helped her paint it a pale, sunny yellow. She'd filled it with plants and books. The smell hit me first. Not coffee and vanilla. Stale beer, old pizza, and unwashed bodies. I stepped into the living room. It was unrecognizable. Pizza boxes were stacked high on her coffee table, fuzzy with mold. Beer cans and liquor bottles littered the floor. Jet's muddy sneakers, he seemed to own a dozen pairs, were piled by the door, and a giant flat-screen TV I'd never seen before was blaring some violent video game. What? What is this? I whispered. We've just been so busy, Chloe said from behind me, her voice hollow. I walked numbly toward her bedroom. The door was wide open, and my blood ran cold. Brenda was in there, sitting on Chloe's bed. My mother's antique quilt crumpled beneath her, painting her toenails. Her trashy clothes were spilling out of suitcases on the floor. Landon's slick, tacky suits were crammed into Chloe's tiny closet. This is your room, I said to Chloe. Oh, we switched, Brenda said brightly, not a hint of shame in her voice. My back is terrible, Helen, just awful. And this mattress is just divine. Chloe doesn't mind, do you, sweetie? It's just a bed. I turned very slowly and looked at my granddaughter. Her eyes, which used to be so full of life, were dull and empty. Where? I asked, my voice shaking with a rage so cold it almost scared me. Are you sleeping, Chloe? She didn't answer. She just looked at the floor. I didn't need her to. I could see it. In the corner of the living room, crammed between the wall and a pile of Jet's filthy laundry, was her small love seat. On it was a single flat pillow with no case and a thin airplane blanket. She was sleeping on the couch, in her own home, the home I had bought for her. Grandma, she sobbed, the dam finally breaking. The sound was ragged, torn from her throat. Grandma, I don't know what to do. She practically fell into my arms, her small body shaking. He said it was just for a weekend. His mom got evicted, then Jet. He said he lost his job and needed a place to crash. He said it was temporary. And Landon? I asked, stroking her greasy hair. My eyes locked on Brenda, who was watching us with bored amusement. Where is he in all this? He says I'm being selfish, she cried into my shoulder. He says this is what family does. But they took my debit card, Grandma. Both of them. The personal one and the business one. They said it's easier if Landon manages the household accounts and the business portfolio. I have to ask him for money just to buy flour. And he yells at me, Grandma. He says I'm ungrateful and that I'm trying to sabotage his big plans. I just held her. I held my broken, brilliant granddaughter while she shuddered with sobs. I felt the heat of my anger settle, cooling into something hard and sharp. I was a diner waitress for 35 years. I've dealt with bullies, with thieves, with entitled pigs who think they can treat a woman like she's garbage. Landon and his family of vultures thought they'd found a soft target. They thought they'd isolated a weak, lonely girl and could bleed her dry. They'd forgotten one thing. They'd forgotten about me. It's okay, baby, I whispered, my voice rough. It's okay. Grandma's here now, and we are going to fix this. Brenda scoffed from the bedroom, loud enough for me to hear. Fix what? You gonna bake 'em some cookies, Grandma? This is our house now. We're family. I met her gaze over Chloe's head. I let a small, tight smile touch my lips. That's a nice thought, dear, I said. But no. I was thinking something a little more permanent. I held my granddaughter as she collapsed against me, her body shaking with the kind of sobs that don't just come from the chest, but from the soles of the feet. They were the dry, ragged sobs of someone who'd run out of tears a week ago. I stroked her matted hair, my eyes locked on Brenda, who was still in the bedroom, idly picking at her new toenail polish. The smirk on that woman's face. It was the look of a predator who'd already eaten and was just playing with the scraps. Fix what? Brenda cackled again, her voice a gravelly smoker's rasp. This ain't your house, Granny. This is a family affair, and Chloe knows her place. Footsteps thumped on the stairs. Landon appeared in the doorway, his slick suit jacket off, his tie loosened. He looked from Chloe's heaving shoulders to my face, and his fake charming mask melted away. For a split second I saw the real him, a cheap cornered bully. What the hell did you do? He snapped, his voice a low growl aimed at me. I leave for 5 minutes, and you come up here and upset her. He moved toward Chloe, prying her hands off my shirt. Babe, stop it. You're being hysterical. She's just trying to get in your head. You know how old people are. I've been called a lot of things in my 72 years. Old isn't an insult, it's a body count. I've survived things he'd cry over. She is not hysterical, I said, my voice dangerously quiet. She's a prisoner. And I'm ending it. Chloe, go to that couch. Get your purse, find your shoes, and pack whatever you can fit in a grocery bag. You are not sleeping here tonight. You are coming home with me. Silence. The video game Jet had been playing downstairs was the only sound. Then Brenda burst out laughing, a harsh, ugly sound. Oh, sure she is. You think this is some movie? She's a married woman, you old bat. She's not going anywhere. She's got responsibilities. She has no responsibility to be a slave, I shot back. But Landon, the snake, knew exactly which victim to bite. He ignored me completely and focused his entire toxic attention on my granddaughter. He grabbed her gently by the shoulders, forcing her to look at him. His voice dropped, becoming syrupy, intimate, and 1,000 times more dangerous than his yelling. Baby, he whispered, is that what you want? After everything I'm doing for us? I am building an empire, Chloe, for us. I'm out there every day, schmoozing, making connections, putting my ass on the line. And you're going to... What? Run away? You're going to abandon your husband? You're going to let all our dreams fall apart just because your grandma, who hasn't even been here in months, throws a little tantrum. I watched horrified as it worked. I saw Chloe's spine, which had been turning to steel in my arms, dissolve back into jelly. She looked at him, her eyes swimming in confusion and guilt. No, Landon, she stammered. It's just, she's sleeping in our bed. It's a bed, Chloe. He suddenly roared and she jumped back, terrified. The nice guy was gone. My mother has a bad back. She needs support. Is that so much to ask? A little respect for my family? Or are we just trash to you? Is that it? You and your grandma think you're better than us? No, I can't leave, Chloe whispered, turning to me, her face a mask of misery. The morning bake. I have to get the scones prepped. If I don't, the suppliers... Landon needs me. I saw it then. Clear as day. It wasn't a family squabble. It was a hostage situation. And you don't save the hostage by charging in with guns blazing. You disarm the kidnapper. You make them think you're on their side. I took a deep breath, and I did the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I let the rage go, and I put on a different mask. I let my shoulders slump. I conjured the image of every confused, dottery old woman I'd ever seen on TV. Oh dear, I said, my voice shaky. Oh my, I didn't mean to cause such a fuss. Landon, Brenda, and even Chloe looked at me, stunned. I'm just an old woman, Landon. I worry, I said, wringing my hands. When I saw the cafe, well, it's just so different. And my Chloe, she's always been more of the artist, you know. I forced a watery smile. She gets that from her grandfather. All heart, not a numbers person in her head. Landon's posture changed. He puffed up, sensing victory. He put his arm around Chloe again, this time like a king claiming a prize. That's exactly what I've been telling her, Helen. She's the talent. I'm the vision. She makes the cookies, I make the deals. Yes, I see that now, I said, nodding vigorously. It's a big fancy, what did you call it? A portfolio? It's overwhelming. And I see my girl. She's just run ragged. I took a step forward. That's why I want to help. In fact, that's why I came today. Brenda scoffed from the bedroom. Help? You gonna write a check, Granny? 'Cause the new sound system Jet wants for the live music nights ain't cheap. He says we need a subwoofer. Jet had apparently crept up the stairs and was now leaning in the doorway, his vacant expression unchanged. Yeah, a sub. And a fog machine. That's a wonderful idea, dear, I said to Brenda, not looking at the idiot son. But no, I was thinking, well, I was a waitress for over 30 years. I balanced my own till every night. I know how to handle a register, and I balanced my own checkbook for 50 years without bouncing a single check. I looked at Landon, all sweet, grandmotherly concern. You're so busy with the big picture, son. The schmoozing. You shouldn't be worried about the small stuff, the payroll, the invoices, the books. It's all so dull. Let me do it. I can come in, sit in a corner, and just organize. Take all that boring paperwork off your plate, so you can focus on the empire. I held my breath. I was offering to be the mouse in their pantry. Landon stared at me, his eyes narrow. He was suspicious. He was a rat, and rats are smart about traps. But he was also vain. Brenda, on the other hand, saw it immediately. "Landon, that's a great idea," she said, her voice suddenly sweet. "Free labor!" And she's old. She'll probably be super by the book. It'll make us look legit if the tax people ever show up. Landon's brain, which I'm sure was just a hamster on a wheel, finally caught up. An old lady doing his bookkeeping for free. She'd be slow. She'd be easy to fool. And it would keep her from trying to drag Chloe off again. He smiled. The full 1,000-watt fake as a $3 bill smile. "You know what, Helen? That's actually brilliant," he said. "Yeah, why not? Keep it all in the family. You can come in tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp. We'll get you onboarded. But just so we're clear," he stepped closer, his voice dropping, "I'm the boss. What I say goes. Capisce?" "Oh, Crystal, dear," I said, patting his arm. "Whatever you say. You're the man of the house." I nearly choked on the words. I turned to Chloe. Her eyes were still dull, confused. She was so deep in the fog, she didn't understand what I was doing. I gave her a quick, hard hug. "It's all right, baby," I whispered fiercely, my mouth next to her ear. "Just bake. Do what they say. I'll be here tomorrow. We are going to sort the numbers." I'm not sure she understood, but she nodded. I turned and walked out of the apartment. I didn't run. I walked, my back straight, down those filthy stairs. I could feel their eyes on me. The three of them, the con man, the queen vulture, and the idiot jester already dismissing me, already laughing at the old fool who'd just volunteered to count their stolen gold. I stepped out of the cafe, onto the sidewalk, and took my first clean breath in an hour. I walked to the corner, turned it, and leaned against the brick wall, my knees finally buckling. I was shaking. But not from fear, it was rage. A rage so cold and so clear it felt like a diamond. I pulled out my old cracked smartphone. My hands were trembling, but I managed to pull up my contacts. I scrolled past Chloe and Doctor until I found the name I was looking for. A man I hadn't spoken to in 5 years. Not since he handled Frank's will. My thumb hit the call button. It rang twice. "Henderson and Associates, this is Arthur." "Arthur," I said, my voice steady now, hard as iron. "This is Helen Price, Frank's widow." "Yes, it's been a while. Listen, I have a job for you. I need an accountant. No, not just any accountant. I need a forensic accountant. The kind of pit bull who knows exactly where to look when rats are stealing everything from the pantry." I walked up to the door of the Page and Pastry at 8:59 a.m. the next morning. My knees were stiff, my back ached, and I hadn't slept, but I felt a cold, humming energy I hadn't felt in years. It was the feeling I used to get at the diner on a Saturday night when we were 3 waitresses short, and the line was out the door. It was battle readiness. I'd spent half the night on the phone with Arthur, who had then patched in the forensic accountant, a man named Marcus Graves. His voice was all business, no emotion. He'd listened to my story and said, "Mrs. Price, they're sloppy. They're arrogant. That's our advantage. Get me access to the source, the POS system, the bank logins, any new corporate paperwork. Don't confront. Just observe, scan, and send everything." The door was locked. I knocked. After a full minute, Jet yanked it open, scowling. He was shirtless, wearing a pair of basketball shorts and smelling like he'd slept in a brewery. "You're early," he grunted, and walked away, leaving the door open for me. The cafe was dark. The air was thick with the smell of stale beer and garbage from the overflowing cans they still hadn't taken out. In the kitchen, I could hear the thwack, thwack, thwack of Chloe, already at work, chopping fruit or nuts. The sound made my stomach clench. "She's here," Brenda screeched from the apartment upstairs. "Put some pants on, Jet. We got company." Landon came strutting down the stairs a few minutes later, wearing another shiny suit, this one a particularly offensive shade of electric blue. He was sipping an energy drink. "Helen, welcome to the team," he said, beaming. "Big day today. Big, big day. I'm meeting with an investor for the West Side location. We're expanding, baby." "How nice, dear," I said, clutching my pocketbook. "Where do you want me?" He gestured vaguely toward the back of the cafe. "Oh, yeah, your office. We cleared a spot for you." He led me not to the front counter, not to the actual office where Chloe kept the files, but to the back storage closet. It was a dark, windowless room, cold as a meat locker that smelled of damp drywall and mouse droppings. In the corner, next to leaking bags of coffee beans, the good ones Chloe had originally stocked, was a wobbly card table and a metal folding chair. On the table were 3 cardboard banker's boxes, overflowing with a chaotic mess of papers. "There you go," Landon said, clapping his hands. "It's all in there. Every single receipt. You just, you know." He made a vague sorting motion with his hands. "Organize it for the tax guys. You know how it is. Knock yourself out, Helen." He smiled and walked away, already pulling out his phone. I was dismissed. I sat down on the cold metal chair, my 72-year-old hips screaming in protest. This was their plan. Bury the old woman in a cold room with a mountain of trash, and she'd give up by noon. They didn't know me. I've broken down more cardboard boxes than he's had hot meals. I pulled the first box toward me and started. It was exactly what I expected. Chaos. Receipts from gas stations. Receipts from bad bitch nails. A $400 receipt from a Supreme clothing store. Bar tabs from a dozen different places. A charge from a high-end steakhouse for $600. And wedged between a liquor store receipt and a bill for Landon's car detailing was a single, crumpled invoice from Chloe's original pastry flour supplier. It was stamped in big red letters, overdue. For 3 hours, I sat in that freezing closet and I sorted. I made piles. Pile 1, legitimate business expenses. It was pathetic. A few invoices for milk, some cleaning supplies from the dollar store. Pile 2, the vulture fund. This one was massive. Nail salons, steakhouses, car payments, cash withdrawals, clothing, electronics. I took my phone out, just like Marcus told me, and I started taking pictures. Every single receipt, page by page. My hands were shaking, but not from the cold. Around noon, the kitchen door creaked open. Chloe peeked in, her face pale and sweaty. "Grandma?" she whispered. "I'm here, honey." She slipped in, carrying a mug. I made you some tea." She looked at the piles, her eyes wide. What is all that?" "This," I said, holding up a receipt from a men's cologne counter at Nordstrom, "is where your scone money is going, baby." She looked like she was going to be sick. I knew it was bad. I didn't know how bad. He told me the steakhouse was a client meeting. He said the clothes were building the brand. "He's a liar," I said simply. "Chloe, listen to me. I need the login. The one for the bank account. The real one. And the one for the POS system. The one Landon uses." She bit her lip, trembling. I don't know. "Chloe, I can't help you if you don't give me the keys. He is stealing from you. This isn't bad management. This is a crime. And if we don't stop him, he will take this entire place, sell it, and leave you with nothing but the debt. You know I'm right." She looked over her shoulder, terrified. Landon and Brenda were laughing loudly out front. Jet was playing his horrible music. She reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a wadded-up napkin. She pressed it into my hand. "It's all there," she whispered. "The bank login. The POS admin password. I wrote them down after he changed them all. I don't know why I did. I was scared." "You did good, baby," I said, my voice thick. "You did so good. Now go back to the kitchen. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me unless you have to. Just bake. I'm handling this." She nodded, tears in her eyes, and slipped back out. I waited. Another hour. I heard the front door chime. "We're closing for lunch," Brenda yelled. "Gotta go meet Landon's investor." "Jet, you comin'?" Landon called. "Hell yeah." "I ain't eatin' Chloe's leftover crap," Jet replied. The bell chimed again, and the cafe went silent, save for the hum of the refrigerator and the quiet sounds of Chloe weeping in the kitchen. This was it. I walked out of the closet and straight to the front counter. The POS terminal, the brain. I typed in the admin password from the napkin. I was in. My hands flew. I wasn't a dottery old woman. I was a diner waitress. "I know a POS system." I started in the back end. Sales reports. Voided transactions. Manager comps. It was a bloodbath. Brenda was ringing up sales, then voiding them and pocketing the cash. Jet was comping, giving away for free, hundreds of dollars in food and drinks to his idiot friends. But that wasn't the prize. I clicked on the banking tab. Landon, in his arrogance, had linked the main business account right to the register system for easy access. I typed in the bank login from the napkin, and my heart stopped. I saw the initial deposit. My $150,000. It sat there for exactly 1 week after Chloe and Landon got married. Then, the feeding frenzy began. A transfer. $20,000. Memo. Franchise consulting fee. A transfer. $15,000. Memo. Company vehicle purchase. A check cashed. $8,000. Memo. Audio-visual upgrades. Jets TV and fog machine. No doubt. But then I saw it. The smoking gun. The thing that made my blood run cold. It was a recurring transfer. $2,500 every single Monday for the last 8 weeks. It wasn't going to a supplier. It was going to an account at a different bank. I clicked on the transfer details. Payee. Landon Enterprises, LLC. He'd done it. He'd set up his own shell company. He was siphoning Chloe's inheritance, my life savings, directly into his own pocket. This wasn't just stealing. This was premeditated, systematic, criminal fraud. My hands were moving, taking pictures of every screen, every transaction, every account number. What do you think you're doing? I froze. My blood turned to ice. I looked up from the computer screen. Brenda was standing in the doorway, her arms crossed. Her eyes, cold and reptilian, were fixed on the screen, then on my phone. You weren't at lunch, I whispered. Forgot my damn smokes, she sneered, taking a step toward the counter. Looks like I came back just in time. You think you're so smart, don't you, you old bitch? Forgot my damn smokes, Brenda sneered, taking a slow step toward the counter. Her eyes, the color of dirty dishwater, flicked from the bank transfer screen to my phone, which I was still holding in my left hand. Looks like I came back just in time. You think you're so smart, don't you, you old bitch? My blood ran so cold it felt like it had turned to slush. My first instinct, the diner waitress instinct, was to throw the hot, bitter tea I was holding right in her face. But my second instinct, the one that had kept me alive for 72 years, took over. I slammed the phone face down on the counter and clutched my chest, letting out a shaky, theatrical gasp. Brenda! My goodness, you scared me half to death. I thought you were all at lunch. Cut the crap, she said, her voice dropping. She was at the counter now, close enough for me to smell the stale cigarettes and cheap vodka on her breath. I saw what you were on. That's the bank screen. I widened my eyes, playing the daughtery fool, the role they'd cast me in. The bank? Oh, heavens no, this stupid machine, I said, waving a trembling hand at the POS system. It's just so complicated. Landon said to organize, and I must have hit the wrong button. I was just trying to find the invoice for the coffee beans. It all just beeped. And then these numbers. Oh, I think I broke it, Brenda. Please don't tell Landon. He'll be so cross. She wasn't buying it. Not one bit. Her eyes narrowed into slits. You're a lousy liar. Give me the phone. What? My phone? I asked, putting my hand over it. Why? Because I saw you, she hissed, lunging. You were taking pictures. She was fast, but I was faster. Decades of snatching plates from speed demon busboys gave me an edge. I grabbed the phone and whipped it behind my back, my fingers fumbling for the lock button, trying to send the photos. Anything. Get your hands off me, I snapped, my daughtery voice gone, replaced by the one I used on drunks and teenage punks who tried to dine and dash. Give it to me, you old snoop. She grabbed my wrist, her long acrylic nails digging into my skin. I'm calling Landon. He'll throw you out on your ass. Go ahead. I yanked my arm back, a flare of pain shooting up to my elbow. Call him. While you're at it, ask him what Landon Enterprises LLC is. I was just trying to figure out which supplier to pay. It must be for all that consulting he does. Is that for the big picture or the schmoozing? The color drained from her face. I mean, all of it. Her tacky, overlined lips went pale. She let go of my arm. She knew, of course she knew. She wasn't just a parasite. She was a co-conspirator. She sputtered. You don't know what you're talking about. I know $2,500, I said, my voice cold as the storage room I'd been sitting in. Every single Monday for 8 weeks. My math isn't what it used to be, but I make that. Let's see. $20,000. That's a lot of coffee beans, Brenda. That's not bad management. That's grand larceny. That's felony territory. I saw the hamster wheel in her head spinning, trying to figure out an angle. When a rat is cornered, it doesn't run. It bites. Her fear turned back to rage, but this time it was ugly and desperate. "You're not going anywhere," she snarled. She moved, blocking the only way out from behind the counter. "You're gonna delete those pictures. You're gonna delete them right now. And then you're gonna go sit in your little rat hole of an office, and you are going to shut your mouth." "And if I don't?" I challenged, my heart hammering against my ribs. I clutched my phone so hard my knuckles were white. She smiled, a slow, rotten smile. "Or what? Or I'll tell Landon you fell. You're old, Helen. Old ladies fall down. They break hips. They hit their heads. Things get confused after a fall. Sometimes they don't even remember to wake up." It was a threat. A direct, physical, terrifying threat. This woman, who I'd dismissed as a cheap, lazy grifter, was telling me she would put me in the hospital or the morgue to protect her cash cow. Just as I was trying to figure out if I could break the coffee pot over her head and make a run for it. The kitchen door swung open. Is everything okay? Chloe. She was standing there, holding a spatula, her face pale and streaked with flour. She looked at me, then at Brenda, who was standing over me like a hawk. Brenda's transformation was instant. She put a hand on my arm, her touch now sickeningly gentle, her nails still digging in just enough to remind me. "Oh, honey, thank goodness. Your grandma, she's just feeling a little faint. It's all these numbers. She's just confused. I think she's overtired." Chloe looked at me, her eyes filled with a terror so deep it made me sick. She knew. She didn't know the specifics, but she knew this was a lie. I knew I had to get out. I had the evidence. I had the smoking gun. Staying here was a death sentence, either for me or for the case. I had to play her game. I sagged against the counter, letting my head dip. "Yes," I whispered, faking a dizzy spell. "Yes, I think she's right. It's all so much. I need to go home." I looked at Chloe, forcing a weak smile. I think I forgot to take my heart pills this morning. My chest feels tight." That did it. Chloe was at my side in a second. "Grandma, are you okay? Sit down, I'll get you some water." No, baby," I said, pushing her gently away. I need to go, right now. I have my pills in the car." I gathered my pocketbook, my phone clutched in a death grip, and started to shuffle out from behind the counter. Brenda watched me, her arms crossed, a smug, victorious look on her face. She'd won. She'd scared the old lady off. "Yeah, Helen," she said, her voice dripping with fake pity. "You go home, you rest. You're done here. We don't need your help anymore. It's just too much for you." "I'll walk you to your car," Chloe said, her hand on my elbow. "No," Brenda snapped, her nice voice vanishing. "You've got a bake to finish. We can't have you wandering off. She can find the door. Can't you, Helen?" Her eyes were locked on mine. It was a final warning. Get out and say nothing. "Yes," I whispered. I'll be fine." I shuffled past her. Every step I took toward that front door felt like walking through wet cement. I could feel her eyes burning into my back. I fumbled with the lock, my hands shaking, genuinely this time, and pushed the door open. The bell chimed, a mocking, cheerful sound. I stepped out onto the sidewalk and didn't look back. I walked. I didn't run. I walked, my back straight, my head held high, just like I was carrying a heavy tray of food. I walked to the corner. I turned it, disappearing from her line of sight. The second I was clear, I sagged against the brick wall, my knees giving out. I was shaking from head to toe, not with fear, but with a volcanic, righteous rage. I yanked my phone out. I had 2 missed calls from Marcus. I hit call. He answered on the first ring. "Helen, what's wrong?" "You're not at the location." I realized he must have been tracking my phone. "Smart man, I'm out," I said, my voice raspy. "I'm on the street. Brenda, she caught me. She knows I'm onto them." "Are you hurt?" His voice was sharp. "No, I'm fine." "But Marcus, I got it. I got everything." I opened my gallery. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely do it. "I'm sending them to you right now. Pictures of the POS reports, the voids, the comps, and Marcus, I got the shell company, Landon Enterprises, LLC. He's been transferring $2,500 a week." There was a long, sharp silence on the other end. "Mrs. Price," he finally said, and I could hear the tightness in his voice. "You've just handed me the entire case. You did what I would have needed a subpoena in 3 weeks to do. Now, listen to me. Go home. Lock your doors. Do not go back there. Do not call Chloe. But my granddaughter is the bait, Helen," he said, not unkindly. "If you go back, they'll destroy the evidence. They'll destroy you. You've poked the wasp's nest. Now, let me handle the extermination." "I understand," I said, my eyes fixed on the empty street. "We've got them," he said, his voice hard. "They're arrogant, they're stupid, and they just threatened a senior citizen. The trap is set. Now, we just let them walk right into it." The 2 days that followed were the longest, quietest, and most terrifying of my life. I sat in my small, clean apartment, my phone on the table in front of me, plugged into the wall. I just stared at it. Every time it buzzed with a spam text, my heart tried to hammer its way out of my chest. I did exactly what Marcus had told me. I locked my deadbolt. I put the chain on the door. And I did not, under any circumstances, call Chloe. That was the part that was killing me. My hand would hover over her contact, my thumb shaking. Was she safe? Had Brenda told Landon? Had they hurt her? I had to trust Marcus. He'd been blunt. "Right now, Helen, they think they scared you off. They think you're a hysterical old woman who ran home to her heart pills. That's our single biggest advantage. If you call, if you even text her, they'll know something is up. They'll panic, and they'll destroy the evidence. Let them get comfortable. Let them get arrogant. They will always overplay their hand." The call came at 9:15 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Not from Marcus, but from a number I didn't recognize. I answered, my throat tight. "Is this Helen Price?" A curt, professional voice asked. "Who is this?" "Mrs. Price, my name is Detective Maria Diaz. I'm with the Financial Crimes Unit. I've been on the phone all morning with your accountant, Mr. Graves. He's very thorough. He's told me the situation. Now I have a question. Has your granddaughter, Chloe, ever given you power of attorney or any official signing rights on that business?" My heart sank. No, I just gave her the money, the gift. It was all in her name." "That's what I thought," Diaz said. "That makes things harder." But Mr. Graves also mentioned a direct threat. "From a Ms. Brenda." "Yes," I said, my voice shaking. She said old ladies fall. That they don't wake up." There was a sharp silence. "Mrs. Price, that's not just financial crime. That's a felony threat. That changes the game. We have enough. Can you come to the cafe? We'd like to audit the books, so to speak. And it's always cleaner if the complainant is on site. I'll be right there," I said, my knees weak. "No, you won't," she said. "You'll stay on this line. A patrol car is pulling up to your building right now. They will escort you. Do you understand? You are not to go in alone." I looked out my window and saw the black and white. My God, this was real. The ride over was a blur. The young officer was kind, but I just stared out the window. When we pulled up, a block away from the cafe, I saw Marcus standing on the corner, talking to Detective Diaz. He saw me and nodded, his face grim. "Here's the situation," Diaz said, walking over as I got out. "Landon and his mother just tried to empty the entire business account. Mr. Graves had already alerted the bank's fraud department. The transaction was flagged, and the account is now frozen, top to bottom. They're trapped. They're in there right now with no money, and I'm betting they are not happy." "What do we do?" I whispered. "We walk in," Diaz said, and she nodded to the 2 uniformed officers who were now flanking the door. "Let us do the talking. You just be you." A concerned grandmother. Marcus opened the door. The bell chimed. The scene inside was hell. It wasn't a cafe. It was a war zone. It was clear they'd gotten the call from the bank. Landon had ripped the POS terminal off the counter and smashed it on the floor. Brenda was behind the bar, stuffing bottles of high-end liquor, Chloe's craft cocktail stock, into a cardboard box. Jet, the human lump, was in the corner, trying to unbolt the giant TV from the wall mount. "Going somewhere?" Detective Diaz asked, her voice calm. All 3 of them froze. Landon, his face purple with rage, saw her. His eyes flicked to the uniforms, then to me. The con man clicked back on, quick as a switch. "Thank God, officers," he said, holding his hands up. We've just been robbed. Look at this place. They smashed our equipment. We were just cleaning up. Is that right?" Diaz said, stepping over the broken terminal. And the liquor, Mrs. Landon. Is that part of the cleanup? Brenda's face went white. I was moving it to the back. For safety. And you, Mr. Landon, Diaz continued. You were at the bank this morning, or on the phone, trying to clean up the main account. An account, I see, that's already had $20,000 siphoned out into a shell company. Landon Enterprises, LLC. Has a nice ring to it. Landon's mask didn't just twitch. It evaporated. The charm was gone, and the cornered, rabid animal was all that was left. You, he roared, pointing at me. You did this, you senile old bitch. You poisoned her against me. Mr. Landon, I'd shut your mouth right now, Diaz warned. And you, I said, my voice shaking, but not with fear. With rage. I stepped forward, right past the detective, until I was just a few feet from the woman who'd threatened to kill me. You, Brenda, I've been thinking about what you said, about how old ladies fall, how they get confused and don't wake up. Diaz looked at me, then at Brenda. Did she say that to you? Yes, I said, my eyes locked on Brenda's. She did. Ma'am, Diaz said, her hand going to her cuffs. You're under arrest for grand larceny, conspiracy to commit fraud, and for making terroristic threats. You can't prove that, Brenda shrieked. It's my word against hers. She's old. She's crazy. Actually, Marcus said, stepping in for the first time, his voice smooth as glass. She's not. Helen, do you remember when you called me from the sidewalk after she threatened you? Yes. And do you remember me saying I was tracking your phone? Well, I wasn't just tracking it. I was recording. I have the entire call. The part where you told me exactly what she said to you, word for word. A recorded statement made just 30 seconds after the threat. That's not old and confused. That's contemporaneous evidence. My associate has already emailed the file to the detective. Brenda's mouth opened and closed like a dying fish. Where is my granddaughter? I demanded, my voice echoing in the ruined shop. Where is Chloe? She's in the back, Jet mumbled, his hands halfway in the air. She wouldn't give Landon the combination to the office safe, so he got pissed. The safe? I pushed past them, my blood running cold, Diaz right behind me. We went to the small office. The door was fine. She's not here, I said, frantic. In the other back, Jet called, his voice small. The walk-in. I stopped. I didn't breathe. The walk-in freezer? I screamed. I ran, shoving past the kitchen door, my hips screaming in protest. The heavy, stainless steel door of the walk-in freezer was padlocked. From the outside. Oh my God, Diaz whispered, pulling her radio. Get me bolt cutters now! He locked her in the freezer. Chloe, I screamed, banging on the metal door. Chloe, baby, I'm here. I heard it, a faint, weak scratching from the other side. One of the officers sprinted in with the cutters and snapped the heavy padlock. I yanked the door open. She didn't walk out. She fell out, collapsing into my arms. She was blue, wrapped in empty burlap coffee sacks, shaking so violently her teeth were chattering. Grandma? She whispered, her voice a frozen croak. I thought you left me. Never, I sobbed, holding her, the officers wrapping her in their own jackets. Never, I'm here. It's over. I held my granddaughter as the medics came. I watched, my arm around her shaking shoulders, as the police led them out one by one. Jet was a sobbing, blubbering mess. Brenda was screaming, a string of curses so vile it would make a sailor blush. Landon was last. He was quiet, the con man's brain already spinning, probably plotting his defense. As he passed me, he stopped. You, he whispered, his eyes filled with a black, bottomless hate. You ruined everything. I looked at my granddaughter, who was breathing into an oxygen mask, her color slowly returning. I looked at the cafe, my cafe in ruins around me, and I looked back at him, this cheap, empty, pathetic man. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my own set of keys, the ones I'd had made when we first bought the place. No, son, I said, my voice clear and cold as the freezer he'd just put my child in. You didn't have anything to ruin. You're a freelance entrepreneur, a visionary, remember? You just forgot the first rule of business. What's that? He snarled. Don't! Piss off! The investor. We reopened 6 months later. It took that long to clean the filth. fight the insurance, and rebuild. Chloe and we did it together. She's in therapy, and I'm learning how to let her make her own decisions again. But this time, with her eyes wide open. I'm sitting in the reading nook. The cafe is full. The smell of fresh espresso and her famous scones fills the air. Chloe is behind the counter and she's beaming. She's the one who's the visionary. I'm just the bookkeeper. I'm 73 now. And I've learned that you can pour your life savings into something and watch it almost get destroyed. But you can't ever call it a loss. Because in the end, I didn't just buy a cafe. I bought my granddaughter her life back. And that's what I call a hell of an investment.